15 men have been trapped inside a so-called red hole mine in India's northeastern state of Meghalaya since 30 December. Priyanka Borpujari spoke to a miner who left his job at the same mine days before the accident because he found it to be too dangerous. Abdul Alim believes if he had stayed, the job would have killed him. Two cousins, Omor and Shirapat Ali, are among the 15 miners who have been trapped for 3 weeks. Abdul, who fears they may be dead by now, stutters every time he speaks about them. Flooding blocked their exit from the red hole mine named for the narrow crevices through which coal is extracted. Efforts to rescue them have made little headway, a fact that does not surprise Abdul. Once we went down, there was hardly any light streaming in from above. He recalls, the mines I had worked in earlier were only about 30 foot, 9 meters, deep. But this was far more dangerous. It was nearly 500 foot deep. Abdul is 25 years old. He lives in a bamboo and mud house with his wife, Anjura, in a village called Magurmari on the western edge of Meghalaya. Parts of the hilly state are home to deposits of coal, which is extracted through deep narrow holes after first digging pits. The mines are so narrow that several agencies involved in the rescue efforts have struggled to find a way inside. After several attempts, Navy divers reached the bottom of the mine on Monday, but they returned saying they did not see any of the men and that rescue could only be attempted after all the water was pumped out. Red hole mining was banned in 2014, but it's still widely practiced across the state, especially in the East Jaintia hills, where the men are tracked. These mines are privately owned, and it is not clear how many exist. India is the world's third largest coal-producing nation, and coal provides 60% of the country's energy needs. But the industry is poorly regulated. In early December, Abdul got into a taxi with his cousins and drove for 16 hours to reach Ksan, where the mine is located. Abdul first started working in coal mines about 2 years ago. Before that, he worked as a mason and earned a daily wage of 500 rupees, $6.450. But as worker in the red hole mines, he was paid up to 30,000 rupees every month, partly reflecting the dangerous working conditions. Abdul says about 8 to 10 men would hopped into a metal container suspended by a crane that would then be lowered into the mining pit. Once they touched ground, the mines spread out in different directions. Each of us would crawl into one and go as far as 30 foot, he said. At this point, he gets off the bed he is sitting on and bends down to explain. The mine would be this high, about 2 feet, he says, holding his hand that high. Our Sardar leader would instruct us about where to dig. We lie on our sides and check the coal with a ganthy pickaxe. I would put my pushcart just under my legs, so that the coal would fall into it. Once it fills up, I would drag it and bring it to the central assembly point. A small torch tied into place behind his ear provided the only light available. Abdul says a supervisor kept track of the number of workers and how often each one of them returned with a cart full of coal. This determined their wages. He would work 4 hours straight before taking a break. He often began work at 5 a.m. and kept working until noon. During winter, he says he preferred the warmth inside the mine to the biting cold outside. When I asked if crawling and lying on his side for such long hours affected his body, his wife, Anjura, answered, the skin on his back has gone hard and blew up like leather, she says. But Abdul says, only my right side, because I would lie on that side and work. Usually, there are up to 200 men working shift in a single red hole mine. But Abdul says that the mine in Ksan faced a shortage of workers in December because many of them were from the neighboring state of Assam. Most of Meghalaya's illegal miners are migrant laborers who come to earn better wages. But many of them went home to Assam to vote in local elections in the first week of December, and the ones who were left behind took on mark shifts. Meanwhile, Abdul, who had lasted a week in the mine, started to look for a way out. The work was the same as the other red hole mines he had worked in before, but the sheer depth of this one, he says, petrified him, and it drove him home. He told his cousins he wanted to leave, but they would not let him, reminding him of how much he was getting paid. So, one afternoon, after lunch, I told my cousins that I needed to buy a belt for myself. I went to the nearest market, bought the belt and got onto the first bus I saw, and finally made it home, he said, lifting his shirt to show the brown belt. He says he actually needed the belt. Returning to the accident, Abdul says it's possible that water from a nearby waterfall catched into an adjacent mine. A hole in the mine where I worked intersected with a hole in the adjoining mine, and water from there probably rushed in, he says. The supervisor warned us not to dig in that direction, but some of them did not listen to him. Officials blame this on the water from a nearby river. He adds that by the time a miner hears the water coming, it's too late to escape. He does not think it's likely that the men in the mine can be saved. To get all the water out, they would need to pump out 15 neighboring mines simultaneously, he said. Officials have started pumping water out, but say the operation will take time. Abdul left 3 days before the accident that has cast gloom over Magurmari. 7 men from the village are trapped in the mine. Abdul left with only his abandoning clothes as well as 7 days' wages. I do not care for the money I left. I needed to save my life. A poacher has been ordered to watch the Disney film Bambi repeatedly after he was convicted of illegally killing hundreds of deer. Missouri hunter David Barry, Jr., must view the film at least once a month during his year-long sentence. He was arrested in August along with 2 family members for killing the deer, taking their heads and leaving their bodies to rot. Prosecutors said it is reportedly one of the biggest poaching cases in Missouri history. On top of the jail sentence for the illegal deer hunting, Judge Robert George ordered Barry Jr. to view the Walt Disney movie Bambi, with the first viewing being on or before December 23,
2018.
and at least one such viewing each month thereafter. During his spell in prison, the 1942 cartoon about woodland creatures shows a hunt to kill the mother of eponymous deer character Bambi. The months-long investigation, spanning several states, led to the arrest of Barry Jr., his father David Barry, Sr., and his brother Kyle Barry, according to a local newspaper, the Springfield News-Leader. While the total number of deer taken illegally is unknown, Lawrence County's conservation agent Tandy Barnes said it could be several hundred. Barry Jr. received a year-long sentence in Lawrence County Prison after pleading guilty to illegally taking wildlife. He has also been sentenced to a 1-to-0 term in Barton County Prison for a firearms probation violation, and both he and his father had their hunting privileges revoked for life by the Missouri Conservation Commission. The United States military says it has killed 62 fighters from the Islamist group al-Shabab in 6 airstrikes in Somalia. 4 airstrikes on Saturday killed 32 militants, and a further 2 on Sunday killed 28. It said in a statement, "These were the deadliest air attacks in Somalia since November 2017, when the United States said it had killed 100 militants. Somalia has seen a sharp increase in the number of airstrikes and casualties since President Donald Trump took office in the United States in January 2017. A tally by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism reveals that at least 400 people have been killed in airstrikes since the beginning of 2017, far more than the previous 10 years combined. The latest strikes bring to at least 40 the number carried out in Somalia so far this year, compared with 35 recorded in 2017. The United States has a huge military base in neighboring Djibouti, from where it launches attacks on the militants. Mr. Trump gave the United States military greater authority in March 2017 to attack militants in Somalia. Traditionally, United States presidents have been wary of intervening in Somalia, since ATN Special Forces soldiers died fighting militias in the capital Mogadishu in 1993, a battle dramatized in the film Black Hawk Down. No civilians were killed in the latest airstrikes, which were carried out in coordination with the Somali government, the United States military said.